welcome to tonight's episode of the Group Therapy Podcast. Today we have from you've written, you've directed, you've produced, you've been in movie, starred, Amy Lynn Best, a staple of indie horror.
How you doing? Sorry.
I do have to say one thing. We technically, even though I was a friend with Andy too, I think everybody was a friend with Andy at one point. We're in the same movie together that never got finished. We're both in Church of the Eyes.
Yeah.
I play murder cult rapist number 2. Is what he told me. It's not listed on the credits, but that's what he called my character. So I'm like, okay. So
I don't even remember. Honestly, I don't remember my character's name. I need to look that up because I think I do have it somewhere, if it was even named. But yeah, wow. Yes, I remember that. I remember the filming together. It was great. Yeah, no, I'm just saying that. Sorry.
Well, it was funny because my whole thing about that was he messaged me one day. He goes, "You want to be in a movie?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Okay, I need you here Friday morning at like 10 o'clock in the middle of nowhere." And I'm like, "I know you like to make extreme horror movies. Is this how this ends?" And I met, and that was the day I met Eric. I met Henrik. I met Nikki and Erica, and I've talked to him still to this day. So
yeah, that was it was fun because he screened our movies the night before and we hung out, and Christy had lunch with Christy. I finally got to meet Christy, who I still talk to this day. And then we did the screenings and hang out and had a great time, and then did the filming until I don't even remember. I remember walking out and it was just the light was up, and then he was like, "Well, you can go back to the motel and I'll pay for it." I'm like, "No, we're just gonna drive home. We're awake. Let's just drive home now."
Yeah. Mine was I had got off work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I drove all the way down to the middle of nowhere to film. I was in makeup, so I have this like big scar on my face and everything else like that. Then I filmed my first part of my day, which is where I'm, before then I kind of come back and I get shot in the head. So I have to get the bullet hole and all this stuff everywhere. And then I got to film that scene. And at that point I had been up for about 36 hours. And I left there, went home, tried to go home, and I was starved. So I stopped at Wendy's with some of the makeup still on because I didn't have time to get a shower yet. So my wife's driving it, and I look over, and the girl's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm fine."
It's movie, I swear, it's movie stuff. Yes,
yep.
I know. Oh my gosh.
And I go home, I shower, I try to get everything out, try to get all the fake blood out of my hair and everything. And I finally go to sleep, and I wake up, and you can see where my face had been on the pillow because I didn't get all the makeup off.
Oh yes, we started. Not only recently, unfortunately, but we started traveling around with extra towels and pillowcases and things like that for hotels, so we don't make wherever we are unwelcome the next time for whomever is there. It's nice.
I bet. I have friends that are cosplayers, and I have one that does She-Hulk and Red She-Hulk. And she goes, "I have to take all my own stuff every time I go to a hotel." And she goes, "I scrub down their bathtub when I'm done and everything." I'm like, "Hey, I was a hotel manager. We loved people like you."
There's some hotels, especially in the convention scene, that started charging, I think, for stains or bathtub scrubbing or anything.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely see that.
I'm like, yeah, you know what? I agree. I know what it's like when I do my hair and my bathroom's a mess. And yeah, it's not nice to just leave that for somebody else.
I can always tell when my wife's done her hair and colored it, because I go upstairs and our bathroom's got red spotches everywhere or whatever she dyes her hair that day. So
yep.
All right. Well, before we get completely off topic, tell us about yourself. You've done a lot of movies, and I was going through your list, and I have about 5 of them. Personally, did not know I had 5 of them until I looked at your IMDb. So
yeah, that diverse career, I guess. Very, yeah. Oh, yeah. We were realizing, I just posted on Facebook the other day that it was the 12th anniversary of our big 13th anniversary that I remember was our last like big anniversary that we made a big deal about. And so I was like, wow, 25 years. We've been doing this for 25 years. That includes just starting to make our movies. Have a production company, Happy Cloud. Well, it started as Happy Cloud Pictures way back in the late 90s. And through the years, we've done our own movies. We've done features. We've done shorts. We've done documentaries. We've done corporate videos. We've done wedding videos here and there just to make a few bucks. And then we started getting into distributing our own movies, especially after distribution kind of collapsed the way we knew it. There was no more getting into a distribution company and then getting your movies into Blockbuster, and everything just completely collapsed. So we just started just selling our own and distributing our own, and then we started doing our own publications. So now we have a full production and media company, Happy Cloud Media. So anyway, that's kind of the backstory of the last 25 years of what we've been doing in entertainment, mostly indie, low budget horror movies. So yeah, everything. I don't do a lot of the writing. Mike does most of the writing, but the producing, the directing, acting, cooking, pretty much everything else. I like to get my hands in. It's fun. It's fun to learn from the ground up, and it was fun to do it all those years and just learn everything. And it has been quite a long time that we've been doing it, and working on Andy's movies, and that was finally the first one we all got together, because we like every other indie movie person has always said, oh, we got to do a movie together. We got to do a movie together. So we talked about it for years, and we finally got together on that one. And so that's kind of sad, but I'm glad we did it. It was a great experience. So, but yeah, just a lot of the different things that sometimes I even forget. We were at a convention, Cinema Wasteland, and somebody mentioned the name Ryan Cavaline, and it just, oh my gosh, I haven't thought of that in years. I was in a Ryan Cavaline movie, and now they're coming and they're being released again. So by Vinegar Syndrome, I think, and Mike's probably back there listening to me and correcting me if I'm wrong, but all of these things that started right before when we started are now being released. So we've really been, especially since we haven't had a lot to do in the last couple of years, looking at our careers and what we want to do next.
Yeah,
and it's been crazy.
Oh yeah, I tell everybody I'd written. I couldn't say my first movie. I've read other movies, but this was my first movie. I had started casting. I was doing everything, getting ready to go. And then COVID hit, and then everything got put on hold. And I started, because I had done a podcast. I had done, how I met Andy was I had done a public access television show where I would go to conventions and stuff, and I'd interview people and whatnot. And that's what this kind of evolved into. And I took time off, and I'm sitting there, me and my kids are just sitting around the house, not doing nothing. And I was like, you know what? I want to, because I had the podcast, and it was just kind of just, just for me and my friends essentially. And we're like, okay, let's go ahead and actually put something into this and actually, do something with it. And I put the movie on hold, and I started doing this more. So now I'm doing the podcast. I wanted to do a horror host thing, but I thought there's so many horror hosts out there that I was like, there's too many. I'm going to host Saturday morning cartoons. So I went through and started hosting Saturday morning cartoons. And then I added another one. Now I'm trying to host old sci-fi television shows from the 80s. And we're going to see how that goes. I'm going to drop the first one this Friday. So hopefully that one goes good. And then my wife's like, can you add more stuff for you to do? So but I got to keep myself busy. If I'm one of the people, I got to go 1,000 miles an hour. every day. If not, I feel like I haven't accomplished anything. So,
wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So, when did you get started into indie filmmaking?
Oh, back in the late 90s. What happened was it was early days of the internet. It really was. My husband was in Filmmakers. We met and started dating in 94. So it's 28 years since we've been together. He was going to Filmmakers. And I was helping him with his senior film, all these other films. And then it turned out his senior film got picked up by Ron Bonk from, which is now SRS Studios, Sub Rosa, I think, or I don't even remember what it was at the time. But it got picked up for distribution. So we talked to a few people. Mike was doing interviewing for some, sheesh, like every single name is just going, because I'm so used to having him. Anyway. GC magazine out of Texas. It was like a city paper that told you about the strip clubs, but they also had articles in there. So Mike was allowed to interview whoever he wanted and do whatever. So he started just calling up all of these actors, actresses, movie people, anybody, any directors, and we just started to getting to know people, started to go to conventions, and started doing our movies and started selling them. So that's how we've got into it. We just did it. Didn't even really think about it. We just kind of did it. That was what everybody was doing at the time. And we just kind of went along for the ride.
It's kind of nice. I've seen a lot of these independent filmmakers that put out a lot of stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I remember a lot of it was on VHS tape. If, you went to cons, you could find it through them. And a lot of it's popping back up, like you said, through these, like I remember Sub Rosa, now Vinegar Syndrome's putting out stuff that, SOV, the shot on video guys, those guys are all putting out this stuff that I was like, wow, I hate to say this, but man, I thought some of this stuff would be lost, because it's 25 years old, 20 years old, and had probably a super limited print run to begin with, and now these guys are picking them up, and you're like, good, that's what we need.
Yeah, the issue I think that a lot of us are having back then, I think a lot of us grew up on movies, and we loved movies, and we always heard about the lost movies of. So when we made them, we made copies. We have the negative to the 16 millimeter movie we shot. Our first film was on 16, have the negative, all the sound files, all the network files and everything, trying to store them, and then trying to figure out, okay, now we need to get them transferred. Now we need to do this, but we know where everything is. It's just a matter of making sure the technology is still there to open it up. And, the old files that we have can still open, but trying to archive everything, I think, was in a lot of our minds back then. Not everything, not like every single thing we shot or everything we did, we care about, but our first movie, heck, make sure it's nice and it's in a nice controlled environment, even if it's not the greatest. We don't have it in a vault or anything. I can't do that, but it's still trying to store it. So it is kind of cool seeing all these movies, but I'm not surprised that they're popping up, because I feel like Ron or J.R. Bookwalter or all those guys, you just go, oh yeah, like, oh yeah, hold on, and then they go down to the basement, and as long as nothing happened to them, here you go, here, try that.
Yeah.
That's what we would do, basically. So that's what I picture. I mean, they're a little bit before us, but still with the technology for some of this stuff, as long as you can get it transferred, that's another issue.
Yeah, because now what 16 millimeter transfer is I remember, I think there was a place here in town, I live in a small town, that used to do it, and I haven't heard from them guys in years. Now you still got the ones who are like, oh, we can transfer your VHS to DVD or your VHS to Blu-ray, and now you can technically you can buy a transfer machine for that, easy peasy. But man, going from film to DVD or Blu-ray, there's nobody around that does that anymore, I don't think, at least locally.
Not a lot. I know, I don't know around here. I honestly have no idea. I know there's a couple of people. Actually, now that I think about it, the one off the top of my head is Machete Zombie. Lenny Lee's has a film he does that, you know, old VHS to DVD, so he might be able to do it. But we had been talking with Mike Razzo up in New York, EI Entertainment, that he really got into film photography, both still and video, or motion, not video. So he has people that were restoring and transferring 16. So there are a few people. It's not as many, obviously, as when we shot. You know, that was the thing to do at the time. That was the cheapest thing, honestly, at the time, was to shoot on 16 for us. But, you know, there are a few, very few, but there are still a few, thank goodness. So we could, you know, hopefully get it transferred, and because we don't want to do it again. My husband and I, Mike and I, sat there. He cut everything together. He edited on an upright moviola. We sat there and literally cut our negative with scissors in our living room, and put it together, and then got it transferred. So yeah, we're done cutting that thing. I think it's just, I'd like to get it transferred again though. So
yeah, well, it's kind of cool. I mean, I've seen, you know, I've been not in the business, but I've watched it go from, you know, where people were shooting in film to now everything's digital. And there's like, people are like, man, it's so much nicer because you don't run out of film. It don't cost you know, technically nothing. So, you know, you can take as many takes as you want. Back in the day where you're paying for film, you're like, that's the best cut we got. We're going with that one.
yeah.
Film and film developing is not cheap. So
no, it wasn't cheap back then. It's still not cheap. I mean, I miss the art. I really do have to say, I do miss the art. I taught a film class, was like a summer workshop a couple of years in a row for young women who wanted to get into film. It was like high school age girls that wanted to make a horror movie. So shooting from like idea to finished product in 2 weeks, because it's digital and you can do that. You can teach them in 1 week all about horror movies and the history of horror movies. Walking around where we learn to shoot, cut, and edit on film. And I'm looking at the old film equipment, and I'm just like jumping up and down like an old person, you know, yelling, yeah, you have it, and there's no way you'd be able to do this. And that's why we all had to edit Gunsmoke, because you could buy, you know, reels of Gunsmoke and edit it all together and have an editing class. You couldn't do an entire thing. But then I just realized I just sound like a crazy old lady, and I'm just shutting up, and then I'm just going to teach them whatever they need to do. They think it's cool, and then they laugh, but I just want them to appreciate how easy they have it. That's all.
Well, I was a manager at a video store, Hollywood Video, back in the day, and I'm trying to explain to people that at one point, you know, when you'd get a busted VHS tape, you didn't just, you know, throw it away. You couldn't resurface it. You had to go in, take the entire thing apart, put it on a thing, find a bad spot, get the splicer out, splice everything together, put it in there, put it all back together and everything. And there's like, well, why would you do that? I was like, because VHSs were expensive back in the day. You did not want to throw away $100 VHS tape.
No, you fixed it.
Yeah. So when you got into filming, who were some of the people that you really kind of looked up to, that you go, hey, I want to be like this person right here?
Oh, wow.
Or did you have anybody like that?
No, definitely. A lot of because we've been looking at a lot of the filmmakers at that time we cited, I still to this day, it was Raimi, you know, Evil Dead, we loved. Romero, we lived in Pittsburgh, obviously. We knew who Romero was and loved who Romero was and had to love who Romero was. I think it's required, but yeah. Savini lived around the corner from my husband's grandmother, so we knew who Savini was. And local people definitely we looked up to. And then, like I said, Raimi, I mean, heck, we old filmmakers too. We've been watching a lot of older movies now, you know, back to the silent movies, back to Méliès and everything else. So we like movies is what we've decided. So it's not even just horror people. It was just anybody that tells a good story and can make you feel without being way over blatant about it. Sorry, way too blatant about it.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But if you tell a good story and you actually like your characters, even if they're bad, if you could, they're real people, they're doing real things, and it's entertaining, but it's not stupid, but it doesn't talk down to you, but isn't too much. Anybody like that, anybody could make a movie like that. Those were our heroes back then, and they still are. It's just the love of movies itself, whether or not it's, like I said, it's horror, it's science fiction or whatever. It's just a good movie is a good movie.
Yeah. Now, when you put together a movie, do you ever look at it and go, you know what, I want to make an Italian horror film, or I want to make just a style? You ever just want to go that way, or do you have your own style and you're just like, this is my style, I'm going with it?
We learned over the years that we can't do one style. We call the happy cloud style, I guess. I mean, it sounds egotistical, but it's definitely true. We can't stick to a genre. We do horror movies, but none of our horror movies are real horror movies. The first movie we made, the first feature we made was a zombie movie, basically. We're in Pittsburgh, we're going to make a zombie movie. So we made a zombie movie, and it had little to do with zombies. It was about a failed science fiction horror writer who wasn't selling books because the zombie apocalypse was there and nobody was buying anything because it was already horror. So it was a noir movie. It was a detective noir movie. That was the first one we did, and they just kept kind of going from there. Second one, my first feature I directed was a slasher movie, but it was a parody of a slasher movie. It was before Scream, I have to say that. But it was a silly, here's a slasher in a sorority, but he's not very good at it. So there's sight gags throughout. It was just a sight gag movie. It was just something for us to do with friends on a weekend. We had them come down to our acreage down in nowhere, Pennsylvania, and we shot this fun thing. And then the next movie we did was, I wanted to sell out. I think it's the next one. I wanted a lesbian vampire in a brothel. That was the movie. We ended up with a female empowerment kind of IRAs versus maybe vampires. They are, I guess, but maybe not. I don't know. You don't know. So we've never stuck to a genre, but even when we started to going, I want to sell out. I want to just make a lesbian vampire movie. I guess I'm just not interested in those, and Mike isn't interested in writing them, and I'm not interested in being in them or putting them on, and I don't know. We're not interested in seeing them, so I don't think anybody would be interested in watching ours, I guess. So yeah, not really.
Okay, here's the one that always kind of stumps people. Okay, this is technically two questions. Money's no object. What kind of movie are you making?
Hammer.
Hammer horror? Oh man. I am a huge sucker for horror, hammer horror. It's to this day. I know my mom didn't do it on purpose, but my name's Paul Christopher Lee. That's my legit, and I was going to be Christopher Lee. So Christopher Lee is one of my idols, and so hammer horror is just, the shit for me. So. I lose you a little bit there. Oh man, I don't know why my internet's running so bad today. Still there?
1 second, and I think we're still stuttering.
Yeah, I'm fuzzy here. Got everything turned off. Oh man, seriously? I can hear you.
Yeah, that's better. Okay.
There. I can see my dog running around.
Sorry, I am still super stuttering. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know if it's
okay.
my end
all
or
right.
yours, but
better. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Money's no object. Who are you hiring to be in a movie? Or who you want to work with?
Oh, man. Geez. Um, I'm going to say the altruistic thing first. It sounds like suck up, but it's not really. Everybody that's ever been in anything for way much less than they're worth with us in the past 25 years first, then take care of them first. Shoot. Man. I don't know. A lot of people I would have said a couple of years ago that I can't think now. And I'm not even sure you can hear me right now. So
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yep,
good.
yep,
Good.
yep.
Good. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Jeez. Wow. Wow. Yeah. I'm looking around trying to get inspiration. This is terrible because this is a hard one because money's no object. So I'm trying to think of most expensive because there's a lot of people I want to work with that wouldn't be quite as much. So, money's no object is a lot different.
Yeah.
Christopher Lee. Let's just go with Christopher Lee.
There we go. All right.
You know what? Yeah, Christopher Lee. Those guys would be. What always came off the top of my head was always Vincent Price. I was always wanted to work, even when I was not work with, but I always wanted to meet and everything when I was a kid. And now it's one of those. If you could hire anybody living or dead, it's always Vincent Price. So Christopher Lee is pretty good too.
Yeah, I would. Vincent Price is we joke around. My youngest son's Vincent, and we always tell people because we have like 5 stories on why he's Vincent, and Vincent Price is one of them. Okay. Do you have like a go-to crew that you love to work with that if you could put them in every movie, you would just work with them in every movie?
We have not done a movie in so long, but there are definitely people that I would everybody that you see multiple times in the credits are pretty much everybody that I would definitely work with, go to, but that's more of like our friend support group crew too. But everybody that I've worked with that I've liked working with, I always put together back into a crew. So I guess the answer is yes, and I've done it.
Hey. And it's funny because I've talked with other filmmakers and they have everybody has their, they'll bring in like one person from the outside, but it's always their core group of people that work on almost every movie they do. And I was like, man, you got to do that because you keep your friends and because those are the people that support you. And
it's that, and it's honestly low budget. That's economical too. If you've worked together before, you know each other's style, you know each other's pace, you know each other what to expect. I mean, one of my favorite, actually I can't say one of my favorite effects artists because everybody that I've liked to work with. So every effects artist we've ever worked with, especially multiple times, I love that they've known our heads a little bit. So they could, especially the second time around, they knew what to be prepared for. So it made things so much easier for everybody involved. So yeah, working multiple times with people, especially if you click and it's a good product. I wouldn't say like keep working with the same people if they just bring you down or whatever. But if you're clicking and everything's working and it's good and they're decent, and keep working with them.
Sweet. Now I know you go to a lot of cons. Now, do you have a favorite con you like going to? I thought I got this fixed. I hate the fact that it'll work great, and then when I go to record,
now you sound good.
Yeah, it'll go choppy on me. Okay, I have no idea what just happened there. The whole thing just crashed. Zoom went completely down on me.
Great.
Gotta love winter weather, I guess. I don't. Let's see where I was at there.
I heard about cons, and that was
okay. Cons. All right, there we go. Now, do you have a favorite con you like going to? Like your go-to con?
Cinema Wasteland.
Cinema Wasteland?
Cinema Wasteland. With a very, very close second was Horror Realm in Pittsburgh. So yeah, real easy.
Yeah, I used to go to Pittsburgh constantly, but I used to go to Pittsburgh Comic-Con. And then when they got rid of that, it was funny because I remember the first time I took it because it's in Monroeville. It's across the parking lot from the Dawn of the Dead Mall. And I took my friend and I was like, hey, that's the mall from Dawn of the Dead. He goes, no, it's not. It doesn't even look like it. I'm like, dude, that was like in 1977. it's going to look completely different. Then he left the convention and he comes back to the convention, goes, that's the mall. And I'm like, I told you.
I know.
Yes. I was like, do you think I was lying? I was like, I remember the first time I walked in there, I was like, it's different, but it's the same. This is so cool.
I always feel bad for found friends because I want to warn them, but I don't want to dampen their excitement, but I don't want them to be disappointed once they see it's not the same. Yeah. So it's like you try to walk that fine line with, don't expect the skating rink. Okay. First of all, that's been gone for years.
Well, the skating rink wasn't there to begin with, was it? That was in a completely different place, if I remember right.
You know what? Honestly, I don't remember. It's so weird that since that's my hometown growing up, I don't remember it as movie trivia. I just remember it as hometown trivia, and I kind of jettisoned a lot of that, which is really sad when people ask me questions about the Dead movies. But well, yeah, because we used to go to Monroeville Mall. It's just like a mall, so it was just a mall to me. It wasn't until years later that I realized that it was like a big deal. I mean, we went to Century 3 too, and that wasn't a big deal at all.
Well, that's what it was. Like the first time I went, it was like, oh, this is the mall from Dawn of the Dead. And then I kept going to Pittsburgh for the convention, and I'm like, oh, that's where they filmed Dawn of the Dead. And
yeah, it's great. I mean, if I was out of town, I would definitely go see where they filmed Dawn of the Dead. If it wasn't a mall that I went to before I knew about that movie.
Definitely. Well, we had planned. We were hoping last year. Now we were planning on going over there because we wanted to go find the cemetery where they filmed Night of the Living Dead and hit a couple of places where they filmed stuff, and then everything, you're like, I don't want to travel right now, so we'll just stay home.
Yeah. Weird. It's weird, but yeah, there's you do an entire weekend of the Dead movies, just the different locations, because they triangulate Pittsburgh, like an hour that way, and then Pittsburgh. So just.
Now, since you're from Pittsburgh and you've made a zombie movie, would you ever make a traditional Romero zombie movie?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Heck, I like the traditional zombie movies. So I'm trying to think of I would only make it if there was a different take. I mean, I wouldn't want to remake it. That's just
no.
There's no point in doing that. I wouldn't think of. I'm trying to even think of course, now I have to think of a story because I have to have an entire situation I would remake as a Romero movie, before I would agree to do that. But yeah, I would if, like I said, if it was a good reason rather than just remaking. Although we create a lot of the opening cemetery shots in the opening of our zombie movie because we figured we're going to get compared to the Romero stuff anyway, being in Pittsburgh and shooting a zombie movie. So we went just like full out. Okay, we got a friend of ours that kind of looked a little like Bill Heinzman from back in the 60s. So we made him up and did the scene and the lightning flash on his face, the whole bit. So I kind of feel like we did our Romero movie right there.
There you go. So I know you. I was looking at your IMDb. You don't have a whole lot going on. Adventures in the Scream Trade is what it says.
Oh God. Yeah. Well, after we did Razor Days, and then we did Tales of Poe with Alan Rokelly and Bart Mastronati and the New York. There was like a New York City crew we were working with. That's right around when like distribution kind of changed completely. We also were living in Southwest Pennsylvania with a lot of mining, kind of nasty mining activity. And just as we were wrapping up Razor Days, our house started like rejecting us. We started losing a lot of our utilities, and eventually the house started caving in. So we kind of had to move. So there was a lot of stuff going on and all that stuff. So we kind of shifted to publishing, where it wasn't as you know, you didn't have to get a bunch of people, you didn't have to have a script, you didn't have to go anywhere, you didn't have to, it was a lot easier. So like, that's when we started pretty much the publishing arm of Happy Cloud. We started Exploitation Nation. We started working on a Grindhouse Purgatory. That's the run of that. We did 20 issues of that between the, you know, the Razor Days and this. So we kind of shifted focus a little bit. It was harder to do productions. We also had a lot of personal stuff going on, a lot of family stuff, a lot of just life stuff. We're getting older, life is happening. So we kind of had to shift focus a lot with that. So yeah, we haven't done a movie at all in a long time. We've been doing that, but Adventures in the Screen Trade is something that, Paul Scrabo, I cannot remember his last name. I'm so sorry, Paul. Paul Scrabo was writing with Brink Stevens a few years back, and he was asking about that. He did Dr. Horrible's Erotic House of Idiots 20 years. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how many years ago. It's the movie that I get to say that I co-starred with Zachary in. So that's just, you know, that, yeah, Zachary has a little bit, Michael Thomas, who was Igor, I'm going to say it wrong, Igor. It's just so many different wonderful actors and in that movie that, and then a bunch we got to know just from that movie. So Paul was writing that, and it was kind of a love letter to movies, and he's still working on it. And I need to start bugging him again. So thank you for reminding me of that, because, you know, this COVID thing happened, and I haven't bugged him in a little while.
There you go. Do you have any advice for people just wanting to be filmmakers?
Just learn what you want to do. Learn about movies. Learn about an actual what you want to say, I guess. I mean, there's nothing wrong with just putting things out. I have no problem with that, but, you know, just try to have something to do. It's an art, and you're going to have to love it, because it's not always great, and it's not always profitable, as I'm sure you well know. And in order to just keep going, there has to be something you like about it, or else you're just making yourself miserable doing it. So, I mean, and if you get something where you can, you know, support yourself and not have to work again, and you're doing great, you know, there's a lot of great success out there. There's a lot of people that just kind of hustle, and there's a lot of people in the industry that it's just a job, and that's fine too. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But if you really want to get into filmmaking for the love of filmmaking, that you really have to love it, and not just, you know, want to be a celebrity. If you're going to do that, then just get a TikTok and be a celebrity. So it's a whole nother thing. Yeah,
I think
that's how you do celebrities right now these days, right? You TikTok. Yeah, I think.
I don't know. We had this discussion at my comic shop a couple days ago about being, you know, because there's different rules for different things and whatnot, and you got like the people, like, I hate to say, I'm going to come out here, the people that exploiting their kids on film to get basically, like, you know, I'm going to go, the people that do the Ryan stuff, they don't have the same rules that you have if you're making a movie or a TV series, but they're putting their kids out there, they're pushing them. And they've, like, basically made, the kid is not an actor. The parents aren't actors. They're not actors. They're just famous because they're famous. And I think that's a weird concept of being famous just for being famous, and having no discernible talent in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I don't know. I like a lot of people, a lot of independent actors and friends of mine and stuff, who I think knock it out of the park every time they're in a movie, because they're really busting their ass, and they're actors. And to be honest, do I ever think they'll be really famous? I don't know, but, you know, they're doing it for the love and not for the fame, I guess, at that point. So I don't know. I kind of,
I completely understand. There's a whole thing, and then, you know, but then again, a lot of us that got into the entertainment arts do it for the fame, or at least the yawning misery that was our childhood that we're trying to fill. Oh, sorry. I just put weird on you.
Yeah. Oh, you're good.
And you froze again.
Oh, shoot. All right. I'm a complete child of the 80s. If to go by right things, I think I'm a year older than you are. And I am,
it depends. Somebody keeps changing my name and I stop fixing it.
I was born in 74, if that helps you, that I am I older than you in 74? Not gonna say.
You are younger than me.
Oh. So, okay, but close, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I talk about with my wife and my friends and stuff like that. We talk about these old movies and TV shows and cartoons and whatnot like that. And I'm like, oh, because I'm like, I like that person. That person's great. And they're like, who is it? I'm like, oh, this guy's done this many movies. And they're like, who? He's not famous. Nobody's great in everything he does.
Oh, I know what that's like.
I'm a movie nerd and a comic book cartoon nerd and all that fun stuff. I'm a guy who loves everything, and it's nice because I have a son now who's 22, and he's taken my love for movies and stuff like that, and like he can sit down. It's funny because I finally was able to get the movie Stalker, the Russian movie. I don't, you know what that one is, and just being able to sit down and appreciate that with my kid. But like my best friend's like, oh my God, what are you watching? I'm like, it's a Russian sci-fi movie. What? Where are the? I'm like, there's no aliens. It's three guys traveling through a wasteland, and it's like, it's sci-fi. Yes. How is this a sci-fi movie? But my kid over here is like, this is a great movie. You can see where. So, but you're right. You gotta to love. Go back and see movies and stuff like that. I'm been rewatching the old Murnau stuff, so Faust and Nosferatu and stuff like that, and I'm like, they were made, and you're like, how did they make these in 1920? And then I seen the behind the scenes of one of the scenes from Faust where the guy's rising up over the town, and it's a model, and the guy's built into the thing, and you're just like, that was amazing.
Yeah. That's definitely was an art.
Yeah, and it's fun seeing that the indie filmmakers, make art, because you have tiny budget for the most part, and you're able to do, you got this much of a budget, but you make this much of a movie because you figured out where to put, how to do everything, who to hire, how to stretch a dime a little bit further. And, I appreciate that in indie filmmaking completely. It's something I would love to do, but I don't know if I have the talent to do it. And I always joke around though, because I was like, if I'm going to screw up a movie, I'm going to screw up a movie, not anybody else.
That's what we always said. We're like, you always learn how to make the movie you're making.
Yep. Every from what I've talked to other people, every movie's a learning experience, because no movie will ever be the same. So,
never. We worked with entirely the same crew, and nope.
Every time. Is there anything you'd like to promote? Anything you've got coming out? Anything that you would like to, push or tell us about, or anything?
Right now what we're really pushing is the magazines. Exploitation Nation is the one we're doing. We call it our highbrow look at lowbrow entertainment. We take cult movies and do more like deep dives, not just like little articles or like 500-word articles. They're actual, you know, scholarly articles. And then you have, you also have little reviews in there too. So it's, the magazine is what we're pushing right now. Happy Club Pictures, happyclubmedia.com, I believe, is our website. And that's really awful that I don't know that off the top of my head. But yeah, you can find us on Facebook too, obviously, is where we talk, which has also been fun. And then we'll be doing a couple things going up. We did paint our green screens, or our studio green screen, over COVID, I guess. So a couple things that we want to start getting back in production now that, I don't want to say things are calming down, because I'm kind of afraid to say that, because every time we do, you know, things blow up again. But we'd like to start getting back in production, in addition to putting out the magazines and everything else that we've been doing.
Okay. And you can get explanation. I guess again. One more time. Exploitation. You can order that through your website, right?
Yes, at happyclubpictures.net. There we go.
There we go. Boom.
There we go. That was smart of me here. These are the stickers that we had made. We just kind of did some little. We wanted to just, you know, do promotional stickers, so we just did a few different designs and had fun with it. happyclubpictures.net.
There we go. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I've had fun talking.
Thank you.
And I will probably edit this one tonight and hopefully get it up tomorrow afternoon. If not, it might be a little later tomorrow evening, but we will definitely have it up tomorrow. So,
okay.
Yeah. I do appreciate.
I appreciate you. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I had fun. I'm glad you had fun. I wish I would have got the internet to figure it out to get Zoom working better. It updated right when I was getting ready to work on this today. I'm like, oh, maybe it'll work better. Choppy shit. So
we live in now. It's something I think most of us are getting used to. So I know I am. I don't know.
The best laid plans of mice and men never go right. So
right. Yeah.
All right. One last question before I forget. Okay. What's your go-to movie? What's your movie that you can always watch?
Oh gosh, there's a few. Right now, what comes to mind is The Princess Bride.
Princess Bride. And are you completely happy that they're not remaking it yet?
You know, that's a whole nother topic. And honestly, I am done with getting upset with remakes. I figure they're just making something for another generation and it has nothing to do with me. And I'm just going to watch mine and I'm good. I'm good. Well, I can't get upset about it anymore.
Well, the bad part about it is me and my son had this discussion about remakes is, you know, okay, say you make 5 remakes. There's a good chance that at least 3 of them are going to be good. You know, I love the remake of The Hills Have Eyes. I love the remake of, you know, I know it's bad because it's going back to 90, but the remake of Night of the Living Dead that Tom Savini did. Dawn of the Dead. You know, you got those. Yeah, you get Friday, you get Nightmare on Elm Street in there. And
The Thing.
Yeah, The Thing. Yeah. People forget that The Thing. The Fly. All those were remakes.
The Fly.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
So
yeah. I mean, I don't think it'll ever recapture My Princess Bride, but if they redid it for a different generation and somebody loves it as much as I love that one, then good. I'm happy. If somebody makes something happy these days, that's all I care about, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, unless they ask.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go and you have a good day.
All right.
And stay safe, because I don't know how the weather is going to be over there. And the dog has come over here, so she's probably wanting out now. So
right.
She's come to visit. So I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And when I get this all ready to go, I will send you a message and telling you it's up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Talk
Sounds
to you later.
Good.
Thank
all
you.
Right. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
We want to thank Amy for today's episode. Amy's a great person. We hope to have her back again sometime soon. If you can check out Amy at her website, we will post more of that at the end. And we will see you guys next time on the Group Therapy Podcast and Sci Fridays and Saturday Morning Serials. So take care and see you later. Bye.